you with Lod. Thanks, guys. I am joined on stage by Lod after a swift and very convincing win, especially after that laning phase. How does that feel winning Game 3 that convincingly?
It felt pretty good. We were all kind of saying like we're a little bit tired. We don't want this set to go to Game 4, so we pulled out the one tricks. We pulled out the Morgana, the Hakio special, and we did pretty well. We closed out the game pretty quickly. Felt good.
Yeah, it certainly did look pretty commanding over the course of it and very one-trick oriented. Now, you've had a few weeks to prepare, and of course, with the gauntlet, must have been a little bit tough. Tell me a little bit about your preparation leading up to this weekend.
Well, we had a lot of problems fixed as a team, but we just like scrimmed hard in the past couple of weeks and tried to, fix like very specific problems. In our series versus C9, like we were able to win the first game, and then we sort of tilted and just lost like 3-0 after that. So we just need to like have a better mentality going into games, and I think we've gotten better at that. So yeah.
Well, you are going to be playing Cloud9 tomorrow in a new best of 5. So far, you've played them a handful of times. You've only taken a single game off of them. What's it going to take to win this series?
A miracle. No.
I'm sure you've got it. You've got him standing behind you as your coach.
I'm just kidding. No. I mean, they're like a really good team. They were able to take a game off TSM, who's probably the best team NA has ever had, and they brought like a competitive series to the TSM in the finals. So they're a really, really tough team, and it's gonna be hard to beat them. But if we can play sort of like how we did in the first game when we played them in our BO5, and we can just like play more consistently and not fall behind early, then I think we can win. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to it. Lod, again, congratulations on the swift 3-0. Looking forward to seeing you back here tomorrow. But we're going to toss it to the analyst to break that series down.
Thank you very much, Dom, and congratulations to both Lod and the rest of Team EnVy for moving on to tomorrow in 3-0 fashion. I mean, we heard him talking at the very beginning of the day that they wanted it to be a short series because they don't want to replicate what C9 had to go through last year if they are going to make this run. You don't want to have to play 14 games to get to Worlds. You want to make it as few as possible, and save that energy for the future. So a 3-0 here, this game, the most convincing of the 3. And I think that's the big thing, is that finally in Game 3, we see Team EnVy get out to an early lead in contrast to the previous 2.
Getting back into the groove of things. Obviously, they haven't played in a while, maybe a little bit of jitters, and not really knowing what the meta is going to bring, right? You probably have not played Liquid all the 2 weeks that you didn't play, right. So it's understandable that the first couple of games will be rough.
Yeah, I definitely think, though, that EnVy kind of played their own meta, the Kassadin top, right? Having the Kennen ban against them all the time. They're definitely a team that is hard to prepare for and hard to see what's coming in the set.
Morgana support here.
Exactly.
Taking total control of that bot lane.
Yeah, and I think that was a big thing as well. You're talking about those early game advantages. Hakuo played this entire series really, really well. His 2 Braum games were very, very good. I think there's only one ultimate that was even close to not being awesome in that entire series. So big shout out to Hakuho for
absolutely a nod to him. And then, as you mentioned, in that bot lane, the 2v2 having total control of it with the Morgana, it's nice to see that even in this meta of melee supports where they're taken back over, that someone can make a stab at something like Morgana in a range support and be effective.
And it takes balls to make Morgana work, because if you don't hit Q, you basically lost lane. You offer absolutely nothing, and he just hit it time and time again on the guy that mattered.
Right.
He hit Jinx every single time, which, maybe try to dodge him a little bit, but we all know that Morgana bindings are a bit magnetic.
Well, and that's into Braum, too, which is one of the few supports that has kind of the capability of tanking that skill shot for you, and that he can leap to you and help you out. Yeah. But yeah, very much having total control there. I do want to briefly dive into the gameplay here. We only have one replay to kind of summarize this whole game. 13 minutes in, a 3-0 for EnVy in the mid lane.
And this is going to be Team Liquid trying to overforce their hand when you clearly see that there is priority from the duel lane from EnVy. As soon as they overcommit, Ninja hits a nice little stun, the exhaust going to come in, and Proxy just is right there to help everybody out with the TP. Just overforcing their hand, shouldn't have been there, shouldn't have tried it.
Yeah, Seraph gets that TP through, throws Phoenix against the wall, and the Syndra, like, honestly, you expect it to be able to take over the lane, and TL is going to be able to snowball their lane advantage, which I think is what they were going for, but they weren't able to get off the ground in this game because of a lot of the pressure that Proxy was providing. And again, yeah, he wanted to go for that kill. Not quite.
But I do think that play above all else kind of speaks to the troubles that Team Liquid, this roster, is having, and that they weren't able to identify what you mentioned. The fact that their duo lane is already here in mid lane. They have beaten ours in rotation, so we will be outnumbered in this fight.
Yeah, can I mention that everybody on EnVy out-damaged the highest damage dealer of Liquid in this game? That's how devastating this loss was for Liquid. It was an absolute annihilation.
I mean, the game was so short that you see the damage chart, only one guy is over 10K. So it really shows how quickly they snowballed this from the 10-minute mark on a tiny little lead to a 14.5K towards the end, which is
26 minutes.
Now, understanding that this was a dominant victory for EnVy, I don't want to, sit here and say that maybe nothing good came out of this series for Team Liquid, as they are a team that is most likely, and now is, looking towards the spring split, right? That they were very aware coming into today that the odds were stacked against them, having a brand new jungler who has very little experience even in the jungle. He's a mid laner, primarily. And then, of course, you still have Jin. So when we analyze Team Liquid's play, like what are we looking at this iteration of the roster going forward?
Well, I think it is too early to tell what the strengths and weaknesses are. 3 games where you lost. I mean, they're capable of getting advantages in the early game. You saw it 2 out of 3 times, but again, that's not a big enough sample size to see what the strengths and weaknesses are. I think they just wanted the stage practice for Jinth and ArcSecond here.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Jinth is somebody that plays a little bit better with Matt's style, aggressive. Maybe you can play through the bottom lane in the future. But ArcSecond, I went through his match history, and he's played over 150 games in the jungle in 20 days.
Okay.
So he's really, really grinding. He's playing everything, and that's not including scrims, right? So he's played even more on top of that. And he was rank 1 challenger. You don't get to rank 1 challenger without putting in a whole lot of work, a whole lot of time. So this guy has time and dedication, and he's able to actually, not get burnt out and exert himself a lot. So learning the jungle role, if he is going to continue in that role, I think is like, I just give him some time.
Yeah, we've seen worse debuts.
Well, and if you, that's a very good point. And then, kind of what you're speaking about in terms of work ethic, that's definitely something that, if I'm building a team, that's the kind of personality I want to bring in, right? If we're looking to replace Dardoch, who was a leader of the team, I want to bring in the guy who's training harder than anyone else, right? That's what we hear about Bjergsen all the time. Why is he so good? Because he's the first one downstairs in the morning to practice and the last one going to bed, right?
Like, last one out the club.
Exactly. yeah, exactly. That's Crumb's motto right there. No, but I feel like, if we are going to look at this team moving forward, that's kind of the, for me, the big standout with him is that he is the kind of personality I would want to bring into a team environment. That's going to conclude here for Team Liquid. Do want to flip back over, though, to EnVy one more time. It's time to crown our player of the series. The honor this time goes to EnVy's versatile top laner in Seraph.
Yeah, not only was he pulling 2 bans every single game in the unique Kennen ban, his Kassadin game, throwing them off at the beginning, and then able to play high damage Aurelia. Games 1 and 2, highest damage in the game / on his team in the second one. So I think that he's just been a very versatile top laner too, showing that he can play the Gnar and play some meta champions.
And the team fights he played out just looked so easy. He knew exactly what to do. You go for the backline, you flash the right spells. It looked like he just had another day at the office when he's playing the fights, and that's so enjoyable to watch when you have a top laner that's able to really maneuver around the fights on different champions like the Gnar, Kassadin, and Aurelia.
And Aurelia. I think that's what's so crazy about a versatile player who understands his role as he jumps from champion to champion. That's what's phenomenal about it. A lot of times you see someone flip from a tank to more of an assassin. They're still playing like a tank, right? But he kind of seamlessly was able to jump from role to role.
And the thing that I've learned about Seraph over time is this guy can play that 4-1 split push style and be an absolute monster, but he can play the team fight champions like Kennen and actually open up the game. So being that type of player, I know he has a very good understanding of top lane and how to play it, regardless of what champion he's on, like you said. But coming into the Cloud9 matchup, Impact has always been that roadblock for him. You think about when EnVy were on their upward trend at the beginning of the split, ran into Impact, said he was the final boss, got knocked down, and EnVy looked in a slump since then. And we were like, where'd Seraph go? And then it happened in playoffs again, where you win game 1, and then Impact just shows up and is this beast.
And Impact has only looked better as the weeks of playoffs went on. And of course, now we got to take time to look at our updated regional qualifier tournament bracket, because as you mentioned, EnVy will be advancing to face Cloud9 tomorrow following the conclusion of the EU regional qualifier match. So let's continue to break down this series a little bit. We talked about the top lane being a contentious one. Where else are we looking to be kind of the make or break in this matchup tomorrow?
C9 EnVy, the maker...
we have evidence
in the conception itself. I feel like EnVy honestly is not looking to have a good shot at this. Cloud9, as Lot had mentioned, brought TSM to a competitive series, which almost was game 5. At that point, EnVy was barely able to take a game off of Cloud9. It's going to look, and this was a much weaker Cloud9 weeks ago in the quarterfinals. So I don't think that EnVy has much of a shot. If anything, just the dual lane strength could be one window.
That's what I was going to say. But even then, you look at Sneaky and Smoothie. Smoothie's been a very impressive bot laner and in terms of matching up against Hakuho, who we just had some praise for. Yeah. We'll have to see maybe if he has a response for that Morgana. Either way, that's going to take place tomorrow. We've got to thank you for watching. But for those of you who are still hungry for some more league action, the International Wildcard Finals are off and rolling over at watch.lulesports.com. Now, for myself, Crumbs, Irene, the casters, and the entire broadcast crew, thank you for watching, and we'll see you mañana.